Live the Goals Podcast, episode number 211.
Live the Goals Podcast, your place for motivation, life lessons, and laughter. Don't settle for wandering through a mundane life. Instead, let us help you reach your goals and live a fulfilling life doing what you love. Our guests know what it's like to live with purpose and laugh along the way. Warning, if you're a stick in the mud, you definitely need to stick around. Loosen up your ties, kick off your high heels, and let's get to it with your host, Dale Richardson.
Welcome back to Live the Goals Podcast, friends and family. I'm your host, Dale Richardson, and so excited to get into today's show and to make another exciting announcement. I told you last week that Live the Goals Podcast now has an app. I announced last week that we are in the Google Play Store for Android phone users. Well, guess what? We now have an app for iPhone and iPad users as well. I know that's the bulk of you out there. You can go to iTunes and download the Live the Goals Podcast app. Pause the show. Go do it now. Listen to this show on the app. It's a lot easier to do there. You can search, you can pause. It's so much more. It has so many features there that you're going to love. So go to iTunes, search Live the Goals, all one word, or you can search Dale Richardson, and the Live the Goals Podcast app will pop right on up in iTunes for you iPhone and iOS users, or in Google Play. So friends and family, that has been a goal of mine for maybe half a year to get that app up by the end of the year. And I'm so excited to announce that I made it. Just barely, but made it. The app is out. If this is your first time joining us here at Live the Goals Podcast, go back to episode 0. That's where I explain what this podcast is about and what I'm trying to do here. Now, let's get into what we're here to talk about today. We have an interview episode with Nyla Smith. Wow, this was just a fun interview. We had a bunch of issues trying to get this interview recorded, but I know when that happens, that means the interview is going to be just fantastic, awesome, over the top. And this was, we really couldn't stop laughing through a lot of this episode. And Nyla is on her way to phenomenal success. She's already had quite a bit of success, as you'll hear in the intro, and it has made it through. So many obstacles have been thrown at her, but she continues to push through and succeed with flying colors. So with no further ado, let's get into today's interview with Nyla Smith. Okay, friends and family, let's get started. I am excited to introduce our guest today. Our guest is Nyla Smith, and let me tell you about Nyla. All right. So in the height of her high school social season, Nyla was diagnosed with severe Crohn's disease, IBD, depression, and anxiety. She underwent a lesser known form of chemotherapy called Remicade Infusions, but that left her to deal with a bunch of new symptoms. And then, against the suggestions of her physician and teachers, Nyla enrolled and excelled at St. John's University. At 19 years old, she became the youngest recipient of a Bachelors of Science degree from St. John's University. Woo!
Hey, great to be joining you guys.
Yeah, so Nyla, your testimony has already inspired millions of people around the world, and friends and family, you may have seen her in a meme of her graduation photo because it went viral and got like 2 million shares, right?
Yeah, I'm a meme. I'm several memes. I keep getting sent new ones. I love whoever creates these.
I know. They're so creative.
I know.
So just to wrap up the intro, Nyla, friends and family, on top of all of that, Nyla is the founder and CEO of Hustle Hard Campaign, a nonprofit that is giving back to make sure that other people have the resources to make it through their adversities. I already know the answer to this, but Nyla, are you ready to help us set and reach goals that matter?
Yes. I'm very ready. I really, I've definitely dedicated my life so far and hope to continue to go towards to go further in my work to help people to recognize that you really can empower yourself despite your situation, despite your setbacks. You really define your own story. And, I think once you get that in your mind and that's solidified in your brain, you can do anything you want from there. I really do.
Yes. And Nyla, so friends and family, we just had a lot of laughs through a little bit of adversity, all types of things trying to stop us from getting this interview going.
What the devil's been working, boy.
Overtime, but we laughed our way through it. And I learned a little bit about Nyla through that process, just her ability to laugh and roll with the punches. And so, Nyla, I'd love for you to just take another second, tell our friends and family a little bit more about you. What are some things we may not know by just looking at your website?
Okay, so some things you may not know from just looking at my website. I am a Chick-fil-A fiend. Step one, yes. Oh my goodness, I could put the sauce in my veins, but the technology isn't available yet. I'm kind of like a hipster meets like somebody who's completely OCD and stressed out constantly. Like I'm like a blend of those two, make it into a soup and you've got me.
Yes. That sounds like a fun, interesting mix there of a little bit of both ends.
I think that's the best way to describe me. Like, I'm really fun-loving. I'm like, I don't know if you guys can tell, I have the ugliest, goofiest laugh. I'm always laughing and cracking up at something. But I'm also like that person who, like, I have to make sure all the doors in my house are closed constantly. Like, if I'm somewhere and I feel a door is not closed, I'll be sick. So I hate that. I also hate disorganized notes. So whenever I'm writing anything down, like I'll find myself writing it down 2 or 3 times just to get like my handwriting to where I'm happy with it, the structure of the page to where I'm happy with it. I'm really crazy.
we won't call it crazy. We'll say unique.
Right. We gonna say unique. I like that.
There you go. So I don't know if you already know this, but the original Chick-fil-A, the Dwarf House, is in Georgia. It's in a place called Hatfield, Georgia, right by the airport. Yeah, so if you haven't been there before, let me know next time you're in Georgia. We'll have to go check out you can go to the original Chick-fil-A and listen to this. One half is like a regular Chick-fil-A, and the other half is like the original diner that they kind of started out with. So you can actually get non-Chick-fil-A items on that side. You can get...
Okay, but I don't appreciate the non-Chick-fil-A items. We don't have to all serve Chick-fil-A now.
So they got that on one side, but you can get steak and eggs on the other side.
Okay, chill. Steak and eggs does sound quite nice.
So Nyla, I start all of my interview episodes asking the guest for a funny story, something that made you laugh recently. I can tell this is probably going to be easy for you as much as you like laughing, but it doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world, but something that made you laugh or chuckle recently.
Okay, so this is just disclaimer, it's a little bit of dark humor, but this had me dead. So yesterday I was getting into the shower and I slipped. Like I slipped walking into the shower, and I have one of those showers where you close the door behind you, not like a sliding door or anything like that. So I grabbed onto the door, with my right hand, trying not to slip, because I was like, what I'm not going to do is fall. So, I'm not about to mess up my back any further. So I reach onto the door, and I'm slipping and sliding back, and I hear like this popping sound. Yo. My shoulder pops out of my socket.
What?
I know, I was dead. What? Sorry, I'm dying all over again. So when it popped out, y'all, you would think I would be like stressing it, because of course originally I was like, bruh. But it's called asphyxiation. Oh, I don't think I said that correctly, but I tried. It's an X in there, and that's what threw me off. But it's like a shoulder asphyxiation, which means that it goes back in the socket naturally instead of me having to do all the manual popping and dropping to get it back in. So when it happened, I scream. I'm like, somebody help me, my shoulder's out. I'm freaking out. And they're like, oh my God. So by the time they come in now. I'm like, oh, I'm good, guys. I got it back in. And my whole family does not think it's funny yet, but y'all, I was literally in tears laughing, like in the shower, in tears, cracking up. Like,
oh my goodness,
who did that even happen to?
Yeah, that sounds like a lot. That sounds like a lot. Right. Oh right. Man, oh man. So sounds like your family is used to you now, and they just. Right. Oh man.
Only so much crazy before they just no longer are surprised.
Yeah, well, Nyla, thank you. I'd love starting off with a laugh. I just want folks to remember, and that's a good story to use too. I want folks to remember that we got to laugh through the good and the bad in life, right? I mean, it's not always what happens to you; it's sometimes how you handle it. And talking about how you handle it, Nyla, I love stories of people like you who have obstacles in their lives, but make the choice that those obstacles are no match for your determination and hustle. And so, and so I really would like if you'd grace us and we'd be honored if you are willing to kind of just take us back, right? Take us back to when you were diagnosed. I know I talked in your intro with several things, right, including Crohn's, right. And like, what were you thinking? What were you going through? What were you feeling at that time?
So you guys can tell with me, I really am a goofy goober, and that's definitely carried me through a lot of super dark moments in my life. But I think that although I'm goofy and there's lessons to be taken in humor in dark times, I also have to say, I think a lot of times humor is my mask emotion. How anger can be a mask emotion for sadness, which we all know that. But people don't often know that sometimes, I become really numb to things just because of, I guess, maybe again, because I've gotten used to my life's crazy. And I just from a young age, I've been hit with a lot of things just throughout life. And then, again, I don't have a bad life. I really don't. But I have been conditioned to things going left throughout life. So when I first got diagnosed, my parents was crying and wailing because it took forever to get diagnosed, right? So I was in the hospital for quite a bit. And I've been told that I had all these different illnesses. They were saying I either had like gastric cancer, which is like stomach cancer, or I had stomach parasites they thought I could have. Oh my goodness. I know, right? And then, and you think, how can they get it so wrong? But Crohn's disease especially really mimics other illnesses. So, right. So it's difficult, especially in adolescence, because I was 15 at the time, 14, 15 at the time. So I was too young, and usually they're used to treating and recognizing the signs and symptoms in adults. And I was at a pediatrics doctor, which is a children's doctor, and he was like, "Dude, I don't know, I don't know what you got." So we went through a series of testing that took 5 ever. I did things like, so basically, I had to swallow this. Why can't I talk? It's this horrible slime, basically, that goes through and it highlights your GI tract. So they can go in with X-rays and huge machines and transformers and robots and go in and take pictures of your stomach. So I did that. It's oral contrast, what is formerly called the slime. And I did, I never say it right. Endoscopy and colonoscopy. We're just sad. Actually, I really can't talk, y'all. Another fun fact about me: I cannot talk.
And
I'm a motivational speaker.
And I often don't know the word, so I'll just roll with it and assume you're saying it right.
See, we're no good together. So
perfect.
Right before the comments start rolling, I just want to let you guys know. So I did all of that, and after all those tests, I was able to get a diagnosis of Crohn's and IBD. They even diagnosed me with IBS, which I later found out that once you have IBS is it sounds stupid, because IBS is like it's like a short-term diagnosis for people who maybe is not like a chronic illness, but they do have irritable bowel syndrome. But IBD is inflammatory bowel disease. So it's like the grandfather of IBS. Another testament to just them not super knowing what they're doing with adolescent Crohn's patients.
Yeah. So
back to your question, I was giving you that mouthful. When my parents found out, it was, they were like howling. I mean, they were so sad and crying and freaking out. And I was just like chilling. I was like, dang, all right, well, that's unfortunate. But what y'all about to get into? Like,
wow.
Right? So I just really detached myself from reality a lot. And because I had depression, pre-existing depression going into this process, that's a symptom of depression is disassociation when you just get emotionally overwhelmed. And I think the first time I even cried about being diagnosed was like, it honestly was months later. It was random. It was random. Months later. But so, the way I dealt with it at the time was not proper, but it was the only way that I knew how to do it. So my parents got me back into therapy at the time. So I went to therapy, and that's when I was able to work through my emotions and why I was so numb, and work and understand how to feel disappointed, how to feel upset.
Mm-hmm. Because it's okay to feel disappointed and upset.
It is.
Yeah, and so this is a weird question maybe, but so you talked about at that stage your ability to kind of detach and maybe because you were going through some depression as well. Mm-hmm. Do you think that at the initial stages, do you think that helped you, or did it make it easier or more difficult on you?
I think it helped me. I was a baby at the time, and I was at the height of my high school social season, so you already know, like anybody who's watched Degrassi, or if you have any younger siblings, or if you once were young, like high school is already like mad stuff going on, and I emotionally was exhausted in so many different ways from so many different resources. So at the time, I think if I would have really taken on to understand that I had this illness that I'm going to die with, which was getting added to my roster. Now I'm getting quite the impressive resume with these illnesses.
Yeah.
I think I really would have been, I would have been a mess. Before diagnosed with Crohn's, I had issues with self-harming myself, with cutting myself.
Oh, no,
Mm-hmm.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, I did. And I had suicidal thoughts, and I would flirt with suicide sometimes, which means just basically like not going through with planning and executing the perfect attempt, but I would do things that would just, just try to push that boundary and just see, how far I would go each time. So, I when I was diagnosed and coming into the whole diagnosis stage, that was who I was before. And I had just gotten over it with my therapist. They wanted to definitely get a hold of me rather quick. Yeah. So I went there, and she was amazing. Dr. Blair is in Dallas, Texas, and she's like the best person in the world outside my mom. So she definitely helped me. I don't think that somebody who already was young and demonstrated that that's something that I use as a coping mechanism. Mm-hmm. I don't think telling me that my body would be my body and everything that comes with me would forever hinder me. I don't think that I could have really swallowed that in a healthy way at the time.
Yeah. Shout out to Dr. Was it Blair?
Dr. Blair, Lita Blair.
Shout out.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for your help.
She definitely saved my life for sure.
Wow. That's awesome. And it's just a testament to the fact that we go through different things. We go through different obstacles. But, like you said, as weird as it may sound, the way your symptoms were at certain stages, it might have helped you at that point, right? And it's good that you got to Dr. Blair and were able to get more help. But at that time, something that may have been somewhat of a curse ended up being somewhat of a blessing.
It did.
Yeah. So, I saw when I was doing a little digging that there are approximately 700,000 people with Crohn's disease in the U.S. alone. And I know that, because of that, there are a lot of people out there that can relate to you, but I know there are also people out there that don't know what Crohn's disease is. I know that I didn't know much about it until a few years ago. And as I've gotten to know a few people who have Crohn's, it's become, a more important part of my life. And so for those who don't even understand what we're talking about, they don't know what it is. Can you explain a little bit more about what Crohn's disease is?
Okay, Crohn's disease is basically your stomach trying you constantly. It's this inflammatory. It's basically the lining of your digestive tract is inflamed. So in it being inflamed, a lot of times you have to worry about things like pooping a lot, or not pooping at all, or and that's I have more of Crohn's constipation issues. If I be honest, we're talking about poop, so let's be real. I also, I have really, really, really wicked stomach cramps, and people will be like, "Oh, I have like a menstrual cycle, and I get cramps." It's a whole different game, boo. Like it's cramps where literally I can't walk. It's more so like stomach spasms. So I can't walk, and intense stomach spasms. I can't walk. I usually can't use the restroom. It's really gonna put me in like a ball somewhere in the side of the room whenever it just really hits. It can be offset by my menstrual cycle. So cronies out there, do recognize around your cycle. It's about to be wicked, fam. But I think what's definitely helped me is to keep heating packs and heating pads nearby constantly. I have ones, I've gotten so nice at it. I have ones that you can tape inside of your jeans and stuff now. Like it's everywhere.
Did you make that, or you bought that somewhere?
Oh no, I bought that. I'm not that creative.
Okay. What are some so for people out there who might have Crohn's? So sounds like you got a couple helpful tips or things you've kind of picked up along the way. Are you have anything else? Are there some other things you found have helped?
Yes, I have a collagen Crohn's series I recorded. It's a vlog series I just recorded on my website, hustlehardcamp.com, where you can see me talk for a long time about it if you guys love hearing my voice and love hearing my wisdom. But I will give you guys some sneak peeks now and tell you, if you need to take a sick day, take your sick day, whether it be 1, 2, 3, or 10. And this seems like whatever. People, of course, take a sick day. But a lot of times people with chronic illnesses and with going into Crohn's, because Crohn's is severe. It can be mild. And I've come into, I'm in remission now, 2 years in remission. Woo-hoo. Yay. Right. I'm able to not take such a big break from life. But when I first got diagnosed, I missed the bulk of the semester between being in the hospital, just even when you get out the hospital, like, okay, now you're out. Woo, let's go to it. And you're like, but bruh, I'm gonna need a week. And so I think it's important that you guys do not feel shamed by your peers or teachers or anybody else, and you take your time as you need to. I also think for Crohn's, so that's, again, take the time that you need to heal yourself and get to yourself where you need to be. I also think a tip for Crohn's that I've learned that I have to exercise a lot. I think that it just helps me with pain. It helps me with cramps. And sometimes with Crohn's disease, you can have weight loss, or some people gain weight depending on what medicines that they're on. I definitely gained weight when I was on different medications and trying that out. So to stay constant with exercising, and I want to tell you guys eating healthy, but I have a Get Fit with Nyla online initiative, and you guys have been motivating me to eat well, but I just can't with a salad. I can't. I'm working out the healthy Crohn's eating, but I have so far really been good about keeping my routines, my workout routines in the mornings well. Make time, whether it be morning or afternoon. Some cronies, I've gotten to the point, because it is a debilitating illness, so which means they a lot of times you're inactive. You're really rendered inactive. You're not able to move much. You're not able to sometimes even speak much, depending on your severity. So some people who are in wheelchairs or who are unable to be mobile in that way, I still think that it's great to have somebody, your caretaker or your friend, or if you got your little boo thing, take you for a walk.
Yeah. Go for a walk with your boo.
Go for a walk with Bay and see if it's not romantic.
There you go. So I wanna take a quick sidetrack here. How old were you when you graduated high school?
Listen. So basically, I graduated high school at 17 because I tested into community college at 15.
Wow.
15 going on to 16. What's this? No, I tested at 15. I started at 16. All right. Okay. I confuse myself, y'all. That's how you know it's confusing. So I started at Richland Community College through Richland RCHS, so Richland College High School. It was difficult because I had just really gotten into the meat of my Remicade Infusions, and that was a really rigorous program. There's some students who would love to pass on, like, oh, it was so easy, whatever. Y'all, I was taking over 20 college hours every semester because I came in the program late at that. So I had graduated from Richland after only a year and a half of studies, so not the full 2 years for my associates. So I graduated from there early as well, and I was like playing catch up. I literally just had my first summer break in summer 16. So
wow.
Yeah, I've never had summer break before, and I didn't know what to do with myself. I literally think I read over 40 books. Like, I just nerded out. So I took the time to do all these classes and whatever because I really was trying to. I think I had something to prove. At my previous high schools, they told me that I wasn't fit to be in quote unquote regular classes with the other regular students. They wanted me to be in special education classes, and they were fighting for me to be in hospice care with how much I had to be out. And I was like, you tried it, but that ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, I love that. And it's important, friends and family, to really remember, like, there are situations, there are people, there are institutions, there are circumstances that will try to define you, but it's up to you to define you. And it sounds like Nyla said, no, I'm not with getting in that special class. I know what I can do, and let me figure out a way to make that happen. And that's pretty darn awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. At the time, it did not feel awesome. I felt like, and I don't know if you guys have ever gambled or whatever. I don't, thank you. I just, in comparing it feels like you just like threw all your money in there and you're just risking it all. Like, this could go real south or it could go amazing.
Yeah.
At the time, I was too young. I felt really attacked as well by my teachers who were I guess because it is an invisible illness, a lot of times my teachers would accuse me of faking it. Like, oh, she was fine. She was just laughing in class. I'm like, fam, I still got joy, but like,
right.
Like, I can't help that.
Yeah, I can have my stomach can hurt and I can laugh at the same time. Those are not exclusive. Yeah,
right. So because you can't see my symptoms does not mean that there is a lack thereof. So at the time, I would be compared a lot to people who are handicapped as far as being in wheelchairs and whatnot. So I would get really, I felt really uncomfortable in that nobody in my institution understood the differences and understood how to recognize symptoms in me that were due to my illnesses. They thought a lot of times I was slacking off, or if I fell asleep in class, it's like, oh, look, she didn't even care to be in here. I'm like, if y'all only knew how this fatigue works. Like, it's like you constantly want to sloth around.
Oh man, so this is complete. I'm random too, so this is completely random. I just saw a video of a sloth for the first time yesterday, walking across the street.
Oh my gosh,
and I get it now. Yeah, I get it now. It was not in a rush. Well, it might have been in a rush, but it didn't look like it was in a rush to get across the street. Wow. So Nyla, I know that you have a community of people around. You talked about your family rushing in when you popped your shoulder out. I know I heard Mom a little earlier when we were having all types of technical difficulties.
Oh, yeah.
And so I know that they, lived this experience with you too. So do you have any thoughts or suggestions or just any comments on people who are living with people with Crohn's? How can we be helpful or supportive or anything like that?
Okay, so this goes for Crohn's, but I'm also going to include chronic illnesses.
Yes, please do.
I talk about a lot of different mental, physical, chronic illnesses, and my mother also has chronic illnesses, both again mental and physical, and hers are definitely on 10, a lot more than mine are. So it's funny, our household dynamic and having two severely ill patients in the house, and how our families had to accommodate that. So she has bipolar disorder and manic depression, as well as chronic back pain and kidney disease. I mean, we both have got quite the rap sheet, y'all. And my mother and I, we've just had to recognize when to volley being the support and when to volley being supported. Like, it's sometimes I just have to raise the flag and like, see, dog, I love you, but I'm gonna need you to rub my back, or I'm gonna need you to get me like something for these muscle spasms, like, and I think she also works the same way, and it's like, okay, we're both very independent throughout our illnesses, but it's really quite the push and pull thing that we've learned how to be vocal when we need somebody. If you're a patient or if you're living with somebody who's a patient, you both have to be, your communication cannot be an issue. Like, it needs to be on 10.
Yeah. Let me ask this. Is there something that someone has done in your life that's, they're trying to be helpful, but it actually had the opposite effect?
Yes. And I can't even say that on such like a small level, but people who ask me like, oh, you have Crohn's, you okay? I'm like, I mean, yeah, I'm good, but I'm all right. Yeah. And I try not to get, a lot of people get frustrated with others when they don't quite understand how to interact or how to be supportive. I'm somebody who's patient because I recognize, again, as somebody who is a caretaker for another patient, I recognize that you don't always know what to do. You don't always know what to say, 'cause especially if you don't get it, like, it's difficult. So in the past, people have tried to like, I can even speak to this is better in being depressed. If I do admit that I'm feeling depressed or I'm just in an emotional state, it's always like, let's talk about it. And I'm like, don't know if this is the regular talk you're looking for. Like, my cat didn't just die. Like, I got something real. So basically, a lot of times people asking me things or giving me like generic advice, like, oh, things will get better. Just look up. Don't forget. Pray about it. I'm like, boo, I could Google that. And now I feel silly. Like the way people treat you or they pacify your emotions in a way, it makes you feel silly. Like, don't cry, stop, don't be upset. I'm like, no, like it took me a lot. I'm the type of person, if I get upset, it really took me a lot to get there. So I'm pretty sure you guys can tell. And I do not get upset easily. So when I am upset, I really prefer people to respect my emotional state. Understand that it's not going to be, you can put a Band-Aid on it and it's done. I just like people to listen and just be there with me. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to fix it. I just like somebody to be there with me.
Just be there. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to fix it. Just be. That's a good lesson for us men who try to fix things. So I'm going to say that to myself a couple times after we're done with this interview.
Please, I hope that carries on with you guys. Please don't always have to be Captain Hero, Captain Save 'em. sometimes I think it really just goes so much further just to really work and make progress, to just learn how to just be a fly on the wall in those moments.
Yeah. Wow. So we have covered a lot. I know that people are going to go to your website, which you'll tell them again at the end, and I'll have in the show notes as well. Okay. And so if they want to find out more about Crohn's, I want to kind of get wider here, and just talk about, obstacles in general, because you've had several obstacles, and despite that, achieved a ton in your young life. And so I'd love to hear from you, what you've learned kind of on a bigger scale about dealing with obstacles.
So dealing with obstacles, I've learned that at the end of the day, they're just obstacles. They're just things that are put into your way for you to learn how to work through them, work through them, learn your lesson, keep it pushing. I'm one of those people. I'm really, keep it pushing should be like written like across my forehead or something. Like, I'm really a keep it pushing individual. And saying that, I've gotten to the point to where I recognize when something unpleasant is going on, or when I'm again, look, I can even relate it to my life right now. I just graduated, right? And everybody in the country is talking about me, and people are bringing up like, oh, you're so dope, you've done all these things. But I don't have a job outside of Hustle Hard, and that's my nonprofit, which, you got to get legal paperwork to do, and that takes forever, and it's expensive. And if you don't have a job to fund your passion, you may not have no passion. That's a constant thing. And I'm in a career field now that I didn't study for. I was pre-med in school, got my degree in environmental science, but I work right now in business and in nonprofit advocacy work. Nobody taught me how to do what I'm doing. So everything I learned, I go through YouTube University. I am an avid book reader. I believe in getting books and reading. I'm very self-taught. So an obstacle right now have been for me, it's like obstacles everywhere. When you first graduate, a lot of people report going into like a depression. I can definitely say that I currently am dealing with that, and just being really just like in the world and lost. And I feel like sometimes it's so many. I was just talking yesterday about how many obstacles right now are, showing their head in my life. And I just, and what I told myself yesterday, and I would tell y'all today, at the end of the day, this ain't gonna stop no show.
There you go.
None of this is gonna stop my show, period. And I don't believe that there is problems that exist that do not have an answer. I do not believe it. So although I have problems and I may have to take a knee, I take knees all the time. I do take a knee, think it through, be upset, be frustrated, but then it's where the hustle hard mentality is born. You start thinking like, all right, but like, what's next? Like, I'm not going to get what I want by being frustrated and upset and crying.
Yeah. Wow. And if you're looking for a job, one word of advice, just make sure that the keep it pushing tattoo is not on your forehead. Make sure that's somewhere else.
Good advice.
It might be helpful. I guess it depends on where you're looking for a job, but I'm going to suggest that might be helpful.
No, I saw a dude recently go into what looked like he had a suit on. He was going to establishment looking like he was about to interview, and dude had an ice cream towel on his face trying to be like Gucci.
Yeah, that makes it a little more difficult for you.
It's
not impossible. It's not impossible,
but I don't know about you trying to do that. I don't know.
Oh, wow. And so, it's just a good reminder that friends and family, the obstacles don't stop, right? I mean, some are small, some are big, but I really do love that keep it pushing. Keep it pushing because it doesn't stop the show. You just got to keep on going. And Nyla, I got one more thing before we kind of start winding down here. I know it's kind of gone quickly here. So, you've had, we're talking about obstacles. You've had some big obstacles. You got a few right now you're working through. How have your obstacles shaped your path towards your purpose or your passion?
So the biggest one that I can, automatically discuss has been my illnesses. And I think I went from a place which I used to be really, you go through this phase where you're really disappointed in yourself because when you're sick, you have nobody else to blame. And maybe you can blame like your mother and your father, but they don't have this, so I couldn't do that. And I was really, really angry at Nyla because Nyla was the only person I saw who was putting me in this position. And I think what that mentality morphed when I saw how many people were touched by me, just by me being me, like all the things, like this whole thing that, I graduated at 19 with my second degree, and I went through chemotherapy, and I was super sick, and I'm a disability student. I never thought that was noteworthy. I really didn't. I really didn't. I went from being, I didn't even go when I was at St. John's University, which was where I graduated. I didn't become a disability student at that institution, although I was prior at all my other previous schools. I didn't become a disability student at that institution until 2 months before I graduated. I put it on my life.
Wow.
Right. So those whole 2 years, I wasn't disabilities, and it made my walk definitely a lot harder than it had to be. But I came in embarrassed. I wanted to reinvent myself. I was like, oh, I don't want to be that student. I want to be that girl. People always talked about me. I had people tell me, like, I got into arguments with people when they said really horrible things, like, oh, just kill yourself, or things like, things
gosh.
too. I know women are nasty. I'm sorry, guys, love you girls, but listen. I have been told the worst thing by young women in high school. One girl I actually was when I was going through chemotherapy, I reached out to her because she was a friend, and she asked me, it was one of those days where somebody was like, how are you doing? And when the waterfall just like unleashes. So I was just like, oh, I'm not doing well. Like, I'm feeling really suicidal, honestly. I'm just sick constantly. Because when you're sick all the time and not in school, nobody asks you to hang out. You don't get invited to parties. People don't salute you at lunch because they're kind of like weird. So I didn't have cancer, so they didn't know what to call me if I didn't have cancer. So I told her about it, and she accidentally added me into a group chat in which she was talking about me, saying like, oh my God, Nyla Smith said that she wanted to kill herself. She's so weird. How do you block people's numbers? Oh my God, you guys are right. I should even talk to her. And I was like, and you think I was crying and like a mess? I have never cried about it, never in my life. Because that was the day I realized, I thought, that was when I stopped using my accommodations, and that's when I stopped like telling people about my Crohn's or my illnesses, because I just was so embarrassed that people, would show me love on one side and then turn around and say the nastiest things I can imagine about me.
Yeah.
So I said all that to say that I stopped talking about it. I was embarrassed until I got asked to go to Voyager South High School, which is in Brooklyn, New York, and speak about it. They heard about me through my line sister telling them, because she's like the best, and she was telling them, Charlene, she was telling them that I had graduated at this young and I had these illnesses and how much she loved me. So he invited me to come speak. And it was my first time speaking and seeing an audience of this is young men, women, teachers, some of the parents that were there. It was literally everybody was crying. It was like a wave, like somebody told the whole crowd, somebody died. Yeah. So, I think when you first see a man cry, that's a staple in your life for sure. And when you make a man cry, that's I'll never forget that image in my life. And they came up after me and they were like, you changed my life. And they still reach out to me and they're like, I literally changed my life. I'm going to school now. I take care of my family now because of what you said to me. And that is I cannot tell you guys, like, I'm emotional. I can't even tell you guys how amazing that feels.
Oh,
something I was so embarrassed about being something that literally is the catalyst in somebody else's life. So what was originally my setback and my dirty secret and shame ended up being what saved people. I mean, I had, since the Hustle Hard campaign been created and the meme went viral, I stopped checking my DMs from all the people reaching out saying that they were going to kill themselves or that they've been self-harming, and that they saw my story and it changed them and it really resonated with them that deeply. I can only obviously take so much of that.
Yeah. Wow. And just a powerful story of what you got from those obstacles and how that moved you towards your purpose and passion. And friends and family, I mean, it's important. You may not have Crohn's, you may not have IBD, you may not be suffering from depression, but you probably have something that, you're not happy about, you're not proud of. And her life and story reminds us that you can inspire and help other people, right? That's that shame and that embarrassment is oftentimes inside. And if you're willing to kind of step out and get past that fear, there's a lot of good you can do by sharing your story with other people. And I'm so glad, Nyla, that you decided to do that, and that talk sounds like it changed your life as well as the life of so many other people. So I'm glad your line sister kind of put you in that, threw you under the bus maybe and said, go here and speak.
Right.
It's working out great. And
Thank you, Charlene. Thank you.
Yeah. Another shout out. A shout out to Charlene. We got all types of shout outs today.
Right. Well, I got people I need to thank today.
Yeah. So let's start winding down. We're near the end of the show, Nyla, and so I'm going to put you in the hot seat. I have something that I do right before the end of the show, every interview episode, that I call the hot seat scenario. Yeah. And so here's what we're going to do. I love this. You're going to swap lives with one of these two people, either person A or person B. Okay. Now, person A is somebody who works 40 to 50 hours a week. She's living check to check. And she spends an average of 2 to 3 hours a night watching TV or surfing the internet, something like that, to kind of wind down. And then you have person B. Person B makes several $100,000 per year, but works crazy long hours, has almost no free time at all. I mean, it really wakes up in the morning early, goes to work, stays at work all day, comes home, goes to sleep, and does it again. And both of these people, person A and B, they both feel like they're not headed in the right direction. Neither one of them is pursuing their passion or purpose, and they want to make that change. So, Nyla, which person are you going to swap lives with, and what are a couple of quick steps you'll take to start turning the ship around?
All right. Well, I'm going to have to be the person who works around the clock but is still paid. Yes. That's just, I don't know if I'm just vain for that, but I got to get a check. And if I had to change my life and do something I'm passionate about, I would then start to build a team that can support me and take some of the food off my plate. And I can then start edging towards maybe discovering. It sounds like they don't even haven't discovered what their passion is. So doing different activities, meeting different people, fostering maybe some old relationships with and networking to figure out what makes me happy, what brings me joy. After I've got it, I obviously would be saving throughout all this hustling and bustling, so I can then afford some time off. I can afford time off and then to pursue that passion. And if that's really what I want to do, I can fund that passion to where now that's making me money. You see the cycle?
I see it. I love it. Thank you for playing along with this. I get all types of different answers, and I like that because I want people to see that there are a whole bunch of different ways that they can go about it from wherever they are to wherever they want to be. And so that's another route that Nyla gave you if you're person B or close to person B. So Nyla, we have reached the end of the episode. This has been so much fun. Before we wrap up here, I'm going to want you to do two things. One, I want you to make sure that our friends and family know how to get in touch with you. Go ahead, give them the website again. Any other social media or contact information you have, make sure you give us that information. And then after you do that, I'd love for you to leave us with a motivational quote or a mantra or something you just use when you need that little extra something during the day.
Excellent. Well, you guys can find me on Instagram at Nyla, Nyla_Smith. I'm almost at 10,000 followers, so let's push me there, guys. Woo woo. You also can catch me on Facebook at the Hustle Hard campaign. My Twitter is hustlehard_CAMP. My website where all the fun goes down is www.hustleHardCamp.com. Also, you guys can check out my new initiatives. I've got my online initiative, Get Fit with Nyla. I've got projects coming up, my holidays in the hospital, and my monthly wig giveaway to not chemotherapy, I want to revise that, to patients who are dealing with hair loss due to medications, but they're still enrolled in school. So you can check out how you can donate your hair if you're a vendor, or how you can get some bundles or whatever if you need them. So thank you guys for having me. I seriously am so thankful that I'm on your show. I had way too good of a time, if you can tell by the motor mouth throughout the episode.
This was fun. Nyla, what's your motivational quote or mantra that you use when you need that little extra something?
But I need that extra something. Okay, I live by my father's quote that, and I'm not sure where he got it from, so it's going to be my father's quote today. But courageous people don't have an absence of fear. It's what you do in spite of that fear that makes you courageous.
Yes.
Won't that take you there, man?
Yeah. We think sometimes fear is a sign that you're not supposed to move forward, but that's not always the case. Thank you, Nyla. That's an awesome quote to end on, and we will attribute it to your dad for right now.
Yes, Dad. I mean, he told me that, and I want to write 3 essays. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time and sharing your personal story and all that you've been through. We know that you have so much great around the corner that's coming up, and I want you to keep us posted. Let us know. Friends and family, please get in touch with her. She's got a bunch of great initiatives going on that you can help support as well. And as always, you can find notes from this episode as well as links to her website and social media sites at livethegoals.com. Just enter Nyla, that's Nyla, in the search bar, and her show notes will pop right on up. So until next time, friends and family, remember to set goals that matter and live the goals you set.
Yes, have a great new year, guys. I look forward to interacting and meeting all of you. Thank you for having me again. I appreciate the opportunity, man.
You are welcome. I'll end it with a air horn. All right. Talk to you later.
Take care. Bye.
Friends and family, are you ready to make your goals a reality? Do you want to learn with like-minded people who are ready to take action and improve their situations just like you? Well, I've learned that no one accomplishes their goals alone. See, the better your team, the better those around you, the more likely you'll reach your goals and reach them faster. And the secret to a great team is a great leader. Well, friends and family, this is your chance to sign up for my next free mastermind class on the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. You'll learn how to be a better leader at home, at work, and in anything you do. Just go to livethegoals.com/free class for more information and to register for free. Well, that's all for today, friends and family. So until next time, remember to set and reach goals that matter.
Thanks for checking out the show today, and make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. We hope you take away something that helps fill your life with purpose and laughter. And make sure you head over to livethegoals.com for more info on guests and resources. Remember to set and reach goals that lead you to a life of purpose and passion.